Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Really excited to be here.
Well, so are we.
So I wanted to, it's kind of an expansion on the question I asked last night on live stream.
Yes.
So you said the reason I had the dream about Orinoco's quest,
Yes.
was because of my connection to hybrid kids.
On Earth in the future, yes.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering, like, if you meant like a difference between the hybrid kids that I have, or if like you meant.
No, I meant what might be called a counterpart of your own from the same oversoul that is living life as a hybrid on the Earth in the future.
Okay, thank you.
So it has a degree of familiarity to you.
Okay, and then does taking birth control affect your psychic abilities? Like, does it?
It depends on your belief system.
Oh, so if you believe that you're fine, then it doesn't.
If you really, really,
Yeah.
truly know that to be true, yes. If you have questions about it, then you may be connecting into the collective consensus reality that says it might in fact affect it.
Okay.
So you have to decide for yourself what part of the collective works for you and what part of the belief system is your own individual belief system that works better for you than the collective consensus one.
Okay. And then I was reading one of the Dolores Cannon books.
Yes.
And they were talking about how, because I know that you talk about when you're part of the hybridization program, they
Yes.
take DNA material from you.
Yes.
And in one of the books, they talked about like some women are actually pregnant with a hybrid kid.
Yes, temporarily sometimes, and then they lose it or what they think is a miscarriage that's not.
So it's like actually physical, like not just an energetic kind of.
Yes, it can actually be physical. And then the embryo is taken and matured on board the ships in hybridization tanks.
Wow. Okay. And then can you explain why, like the idea of soul families, why we have them instead?
Why do you have friends?
Well, no, I mean like instead of just everybody like being one soul family, I guess.
Well, on one level, of course, everyone is one soul family, but we understand that when you people use those terms, you're usually referring to something a little bit farther down the line and closer to physical reality in spirit.
Okay.
So there are, just as you have reasons for having the friends you have, there are reasons you have for having the soul family you have that is connected to the idea of your experiences on Earth. Plus, you all have soul families that might be connected to other civilizations or other dimensions of reality. And again, on and on and on and on and up and up and up and up until, of course, at that level, everything is one.
Okay. And then,
Of course, it doesn't end there.
yeah.
Because you can have families of the one.
Right. Okay. And so also in my own encounter experience that I had in
Yes.
September, I was aware of like being on I mean, it might not have been a ship, but it was somewhere else, but I was also aware of being in my body in
Yes.
bed.
Yes.
But when the experience was over, I was
Yes.
left with a mark.
Yes.
So I was like,
It'll happen that way sometimes.
but how does that work mechanically? Like, is your
Because sometimes when you are shifted to a different reality and a certain adjustment or change is made, remember, as above, so below. So sometimes what is altered in the template level reality on a different level will then manifest in the physical reality as well.
Okay. And then, do we have technologies? Because I know a lot of us can go to like Sedona and sense vortices,
Yes.
just intuitively.
Yes.
But are there technologies that we can build or already have?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Do we already have them, or?
You have all the equipment. Sometimes there are combinations of them that are sensitive enough to detect the electromagnetic vortices.
Okay.
And sometimes you have other versions of technology that need to be put together in ways that would be sensitive enough to detect the vortices. But yes, you have the technology to do that.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
And and then last night, or maybe it wasn't last night, maybe it was 2 nights ago. You were talking about someone asked a question, and you were talking about open contact.
Yes.
And I remember in other events, you've said it's
2025 to 2033, maybe 2040. And the last time
Yeah.
we said it, we said 2033
Yeah.
to 2040. Yes, it's changed a bit, but it's always fluctuating. And when we gave that reading, that was indicative of the energy at the time we gave the reading.
And
Because sometimes that window will tighten, will widen, will collapse, will expand, depending on what's going on your planet, which is one of the reasons we're talking today about the eye of the storm and staying in the center, so that it may expand again for those that remain in the center. But it will collapse and continue to collapse for those that don't.
okay. So life purpose numbers, are they
Life purpose,
like life path numbers, like
life path numbers.
yeah, there's a book
You're talking about a permission slip.
yeah.
Well, you know what we say about permission slips, yes?
Yeah, how they just give you an opportunity to be more of yourself.
So if you are attracted to use it, that means it must be aligned at the moment with your belief system
Yeah.
to allow you the opportunity to circumvent your belief system.
Right. Yeah.
Because you think you need that particular tool, technique, ritual, or object to make it easier to give yourself permission to be more of who you choose to be. It's that simple. So all permission slips are valid. It just depends on what you're attracted to that will work best for you. That's why you're attracted to it.
Right. And then my last question is again about the hybrid kids.
Yes.
So I guess it's kind of a two-part question.
I love how clever you all are. It's my last 5-part question.
So I feel like so I was in a meditation one time and was really deep in it, and I felt like I went through a doorway, and
Yes.
if not all, most of my hybrid kids were there.
Yes. And so?
Was that like me actually seeing them, or just like
Yes. Yes.
okay.
What does actually mean?
Well, like
You shifted yourself through a portal to a higher dimensional plane where you had the ability in your senses to perceive that they are there.
no, yeah, I just thought like maybe because sometimes when we dream, it's like how you say that it's like sometimes it's not actually you that's in our dream. It's our
Yes, I understand. But in the case you're talking about, yes, you were able to perceive your hybrid children.
Okay, and then will I ever be able to meet them like in physical reality?
There are high probabilities of that occurring in your lifetime, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. So excited. Okay.
And?
Okay, I have 3 questions.
Yes.
Okay, so the first one, remember in the last transmission you said anybody who wants contact can go to Joshua Tree in the full
We
moon?
didn't say want.
Oh. What did you say?
We simply said that there was an opportunity to experience more opening, different things. It would help heighten the probability of contact in the future, but to simply go and see what you experience so that we can observe where you're at with regard to the idea of contact.
Okay, got it. Well, I went
Yes.
and I saw what looked like 3 spaceships.
All right.
So I wanted to ask you, like, who were they and what was it?
Who were they and what was it?
Yeah, like who was in those ships? Are you allowed to tell me?
I'm allowed to say that some of it is friends of yours, some of it is people you don't know, and some of it is other versions of yourself.
Other versions of myself and
Many of you have counterparts in some of the extraterrestrial civilizations that visit you, so that you will have a degree of vibrational familiarity with them.
Okay.
Like looking into a mirror but seeing a different face.
But then
But knowing that it's still another version of the oversoul that you are also an extension from.
got it. But then it's also like maybe another being, like a hybrid being, like
Yes,
version of
in
myself.
general, there were
Okay.
many hybrids present at that moment.
Oh, there were. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So it was great. Then the second question is, then after that experience, I had this really vivid dream
Yes.
where I was on a spaceship
Yes.
and they were doing something. I don't know what they were doing.
All right. A memory of an actual encounter.
Can you tell me what that was? Like what they were doing?
Taking a closer look, taking a deeper observation, a measurement of your energy, and again, how close you may be to the vibration that would allow for a higher degree of probability of contact in the future.
Okay.
They wanted to take a more specific reading.
Okay. Is that possible in my lifetime?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember, again, it's not so much that things are or are not possible, it's whether they are probable or relevant.
Is
There
it
is a high
probable and
degree of
relevant?
probability, yes. Otherwise, again, we probably wouldn't be having these conversations.
Right. Right. Okay.
You can use us to some degree as a marker that those that find us have a great deal of connection to the idea of the hybrids and the idea of experiencing contact. It doesn't mean it's all guaranteed, but it means that your willingness to participate in the beginnings of contact, which is what these exchanges are, heightens the probability of actual physical contact in the future. So generally speaking, those that are present in these exchanges and listening in to these exchanges, those that are connected vibrationally and feel a familiarity with us and the way we share information with you, are probably on a similar wavelength, close enough to continue to expand your energy toward the idea of open contact. Otherwise, again, it is not as likely that you would be participating with us in these exchanges. Now, again, it doesn't mean you can't change your mind. It doesn't mean you can't succumb to negative and fear-based belief systems that would take you farther away from the idea of the probability of contact. But in general, if you just let go and go along for the ride and follow the formula, and as we recently said, stay in the eye of the storm, it is increasing the probability of contact with us or beings like us in the relatively near future.
Okay. That makes sense.
I know, that's why I said it.
Okay. Then the last thing is, you know how you were talking about neutral preference and like
Yes.
choosing things that are vibrational alignment.
Yes, vibrationally compatible with who you prefer to be.
So then I guess, what's the balance between, when you meet people that
Yes.
may not occur, like they are vibrational balance?
Are you saying that they're vibrationally incompatible or
Yeah,
compatible?
I experienced that. And then I wonder, am I just being biased?
First step, remember. First step always. Honest self-examination. Am I dampening my excitement? Am I biasing the energy with my belief systems?
Right.
Always do that examination first. Then when you are clear that you may not be biasing it, then you know that what you're sensing really is not your preference vibrationally. Again, this is what we're talking about when we say it's important to have clear discernment. But you have to start with yourself in that discernment. Am I coloring this? Could it be something that could serve me? Could it be something that could be made more vibrationally compatible if I change my belief system about what I'm experiencing here? But if you come right down to the core, the essence of the situation, the circumstance, and the belief systems that are active within you at that moment and determine, no, I'm pretty clear that this is vibrationally incompatible with what I prefer, then it's easy to make the decision as to not engage.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
But it starts with you. You have to be clear within yourself about what you're doing.
I get that. I think the only thing that I get a little confused about is how, how I was watching a video and you were sharing how like everybody that we interact with, we're only seeing our version of them.
Yes.
So then ultimately, if I'm creating how they're showing up or I'm seeing my version of them,
Yes.
then, and if they're showing up in my life,
Yes.
then
But for what reason?
for what reason is for me to discover.
Exactly.
Okay.
And as you clarify yourself, you'll understand why you attracted yourself into that circumstance with that person. Whether or not it's for the circumstance of gaining more discernment, more clarity within yourself, and recognizing you don't need to continue to create your version of them anymore, or you do.
Okay.
Yes?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Hello again, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So I spoke with you yesterday, and I guess I forgot to ask you a question. That's why
all
you
right.
called me today. So again, regarding the experience that I had at Joshua Tree,
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
whole point of me sharing that experience is because I wanted to ask you
Ask the question before
Yeah.
you forget it again.
Okay, so first I wanted to say something else, and then I will ask it. I will not
All
forget
right.
it this time. So the reason I didn't wanted to blend the energy with what I perceived to be them, it was because I didn't know them. It felt like an intimate process, and I didn't know who they were.
All right.
So now I have the question:
Yes.
have I created that? My higher mind created. I know the experience was real, clearly real, but have I created that experience? Like my higher mind created it as a permission slip for me to
know yourself better.
and to relieve some of my beliefs, or
Yes.
I really had a communication with.
Both.
I knew you were going to answer that. So may I know who I was communicating with?
No.
Of course.
You have to know yourself better first, and then you will know.
Now, I realized the next day when I was thinking about it, and I had the realization this morning that I keep saying we are all one.
Yes, on one level you are.
Okay.
But the idea that you're an individual is also real.
Yes. So I don't regret not, I respected, I honored my beliefs in the moments.
Yes.
So I don't regret that. But if I would know experientially that we are all one,
Yes.
I wouldn't have fear that connection, that blending of
You're
energy.
putting the cart before the horse, as you say. If you let go of the fear, you will have the experience that everything is one. It's the fear that's preventing you from having that experience.
I know.
You can't have the experience and hold on to the fear and say, I'm going to have the experience first and then I'll let go of my fear. You cannot experience what you're not the vibration of first.
No, but when I keep telling people that we are all one, because I know it to be true.
Yes, but
It's just
so
that I
what?
don't believe it.
People are saying, so what? How is that practical to know that? And we're telling you the way that it's practical to know that is to be the fullest individual you can be. Because it's not about the idea of losing the individuality in knowing you're all one. It's about the idea of validating, fully validating your individuality. That's what allows you to feel the harmony and the unity of being one. Not about being homogenous like everyone else, but validating all the differences that make you unique. That's the paradox. Validating the differences that make you a unique individual is what allows you to actually feel connected to everything as one.
All right, so I still have to work on this one.
Oh, all right, please do.
Now, yesterday I had 2 more questions. Are you allowing me to explore one of those?
Nope. You need to work on that one.
I knew that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing us to live up to what you already knew to be true.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
Andy, you good day.
My question, I think it's about discernment. So in my younger days, I used to be more into like activism. I was a vegan, and I was into like passing out pamphlets, you know,
Yes.
and even setting up fundraisers and things like that. And
Yeah.
then I started to do more inner work,
Yes.
and I realized that, you know, as
Well, they can go hand in hand, you know.
yes, of course. So I'm noticing
Yes.
that, like, I don't really watch the news. I don't really participate in any political, you know, activities or marches
right.
or anything like that. I do vote, but
Yes.
I'm wondering if I'm kind of starting to blur the line of inner peace and apathy.
No. Inner peace is not apathy.
In my personal case,
Yes.
that I somehow, you know, choose to believe that my apathy is inner peace.
Why? You know the difference between the two, or you wouldn't have 2 different words for it.
That is true.
I know. So you know what apathy feels like, and you know the difference between that and inner peace.
Okay.
So where's the confusion?
I guess the confusion is, I don't know, like, I guess the confusion is, like, I don't feel exactly called to take strong actions.
What do you feel called to take strong actions in?
Well, my personal creative projects and
Such as?
such as
What are you excited about? What are you passionate about doing that you're not doing?
dancing and, other creative, like traveling, and I do those things.
All right. But is there something else you're not doing that you would prefer to be doing?
Well, when a friend was sharing with me about what's really going on at the borders, with the
Yes.
what the ICE is doing and all that stuff, and I was, my first reaction was, well, this is,
What would you prefer to be doing? I don't need the backstory.
I feel like I should be more involved.
Not should. What do you prefer to be doing?
I prefer to do creative projects that make me feel happy, but I feel like maybe I can, on a personal level, make small donations or,
Do whatever you wish, but what we're attempting to lead you to understand is that if you are acting on your true passion, some expression of that will actually be helping more than anything you could do that is not an expression of your passion.
Okay.
You understand? You may not understand how those things are connected.
Yeah.
But they are if you are working and doing things in the action of your passion, because other people will see that and you will have more effect on them than you otherwise might doing the things you think you should be doing in the way you think you should be doing it that isn't coming from your passion.
Okay.
But only feels like an obligation. And when you do that, that's where the apathy comes in, because you're not excited about what you're doing, so you no longer care. So when you do what you love to do, you are more of a living example to others than you may know. Even someone you may never meet, seeing you walking down the street being this wonderfully happy person because you are creatively expressing yourself, may have more of an effect on that stranger than you would ever have an effect on people you know when you're doing something that you don't love to do. It may change everything for them in their lives just by seeing the living example you are of following your passion. You don't have to know exactly how those people get impacted by you. You just know that they are being impacted where they need to be. By you being yourself, that's the whole idea. When you are the shape of the puzzle piece you were created to be, you fit in the puzzle picture and help create the big picture that supports all of the pieces that make it up. But if you're not being the shape you were made to be, you don't fit, you're not helping to create the big picture cannot be experienced by the other pieces as supporting them. Make sense?
Yes.
Does this help?
Yes.
So follow your passion, act on your passion in whatever expressions naturally come, and you will be led through synchronicity to do the things, and sometimes they may look similar to what you were doing before, but you will have found a new way to do them from your passion that you may not have considered before because you weren't in the proper state to see that that was also an alternative way to do it.
Yes.
You have to be the vibrational state to even conceive of the way to do certain things that are representative of that state. Otherwise, those thoughts, those inspirations don't come to you because you're not on the wavelength to receive them.
Okay.
All right? So start with the formula and just see what happens, see where you're led, and whatever opportunity is presented to you, always look for the way to do it in the most exciting way you can, and have the discernment to tell the difference between whether it is truly representative of your preference or not. And of course, the remember to make sure that you're not the one dampening the excitement with negative belief systems you're unaware of.
Okay.
Yes? Does this help?
Yes.
All right.
One follow-up question may have just the same answer.
Maybe.
But so I started out creatively as an actor, and I used to pursue it a lot. And then I started to pursue other things that were more exciting to me. And then
At the time.
And so I kind of just not really focused on acting. And then the weird thing was I started just booking jobs and getting more auditions.
Yes.
But my excitement is still feels like somewhere else. But this keeps happening. So I keep following through.
Are you blocking what could be exciting with your assumptions that it's not?
Yes.
Then use your imagination to see that these things are coming to you in a way that gives you an opportunity to really look for other ways in which you might be able to find the excitement in that, or finally and ultimately determine that it is simply not your preference, not your excitement, but because you keep repeating it for yourself, you are trying to tell yourself something. And it might simply be that you have too many negative fear-based belief assumptions about what doing that may actually mean, when you could be using your imagination to figure out how it would be more exciting to do it in a different way than most people might assume. Think, as you say, outside the box. And finally, actually even get to the point where you realize there is no box.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You are welcome. Now, I'm going to audition you right now.
Oh.
Show me a person finding their way back to their seat.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cut. That's the take. Now we'll see what winds up on the cutting room floor.
Thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity.
And to you, good day.
Good day. I was invited here, and I've never experienced you before.
And what a coincidence. I've never experienced you before either.
Amazing.
So we're on the same level already.
My first question is on behalf of my mother,
Yes,
who invited me here today.
yes.
If Daryl Enka is here and speaking for a future self, Bashar, what happened in between?
We're not sure that your question is translating. What exactly are you asking?
How did you become this entity?
You mean, how did the channel become a channel? For us?
Yes.
Well, that story does exist in many forms. The brief version is that many of your years ago, because an agreement was made for the channel to do this with us in this life, we showed him our spacecraft on 2 occasions in 1 week. Because he had those particular close broad daylight sightings, his curiosity to research and explore what that meant became paramount in his vision. Therefore, through the research, through many years, he encountered many different kinds of concepts that you would call metaphysical, and ultimately found his way, synchronistically, to another channel who was teaching a channeling class with an entity. And in going into that class to research the idea of how channeling could be taught, in a meditative state, a memory finally came back and a message was delivered by us that now that he remembered, we had shown him our ship to get him to start learning what he needed to learn, so that by the time it came time to begin the channeling, he would be prepared to do so and wouldn't be confused or scared. Then he took upon himself the willingness to continue and see where it would lead. Thus, 37 of your years ago, he began this and is still doing it today, because he understands that the most important thing about this particular process is the accessibility to the information that will help individuals who choose to use it for that purpose. Does that answer your question?
I hope it does. Thank you.
Or are you asking something different?
I will be asking another line of questioning on behalf of myself now.
All right.
As I'm developing business
Yes.
and success and influences...
One moment. There's another piece to this idea. Understand that the way this happens for all of you is that when you do what you love to do, you're in the channeling state, which is a particular brainwave frequency between 40 and 100 cycles per second called gamma. And when you're in that state, you are matching frequencies with other levels of consciousness. And in matching those frequencies, you generate the same thoughts at the same time as the other entity. So the channel is functioning as a translation device by allowing himself to get into an altered state that represents the ability to translate his own thoughts at the same level that my thoughts are happening. So in that sense, he becomes a representation of my thoughts, a representation of my personality, a representation of the information through his own body, because we're operating and in lockstep like tuning forks. That's how channeling works. So, proceed with your own question.
Thank you. As I develop influence and success through business,
Yes.
I'm finding that even though I intend to benefit society and myself, there are unintended consequences
Such as?
that negatively affect other people.
Such as?
Creating a new system or way of doing things
Yes.
that is putting other people out of work.
So what can be done to ameliorate that?
Is it possible to undertake business without, or any other type of political organization without unintentionally negatively affecting others?
Others that choose to be negatively affected is something you can do nothing about. But if you realize that what you're doing may bring about the potential for change that may make it less likely for them to continue to do what they're doing, then a portion of the business to truly be successful must undertake the entire operation of providing, at the very least, information that may help educate others to learn how to do something else.
Excellent. And with regards to acting in a business,
Yes.
when one's reality and interests conflict negatively with another's, or completely opposing interests,
That's usually the result of surface negative fear-based belief systems. And when you get those out of the way and go really into the depth of what each being really needs, you will usually find more coherence, or that their needs can be fulfilled much simpler than you think. Because usually people say, well, I really need this, I really need that, and they don't really. When it comes down to the simple things they truly need, you can usually find a way to satisfy everybody if they're willing to divest themselves of the superficial things they think they need in order to be successful. They will usually discover that it's actually very simple and that some accommodation can be had by all.
So in an event that interests and needs are completely divergent,
Give us an example.
let's say that, let's say you try and help somebody with one thing and it results in them identifying a piece of their building that is imminently going to kill people if it collapses.
All right.
And they wish to waylay blame onto the person who is discovering this.
So this is what I'm talking about. You are dealing with individuals who are simply unwilling to look and take responsibility at their own belief systems.
And so what decides whose reality prevails?
You both do, for yourselves. But again, you have to also question yourself about exactly why you have involved yourself in something that brought about interaction with someone who may not be willing to see eye to eye. So you have to take responsibility for your part of the experience while allowing them to take responsibility for their part, whether they're willing to do that or not. It's up to you to take responsibility for your part and why you attracted this and what it is you're learning from this experience and whether or not it's something you even need to continue with.
How does one bring that into their reality, such negativity?
You attract it because it exists, and you attract it to learn something from it and decide for yourself whether it's something you want to continue to interact with or not.
And how does one leave that interaction?
You walk away. You let go. You realize you don't really need it anymore. You realize you've learned the lesson from it. Remember that sometimes you will attract very strongly a representation of what you don't prefer to make it clearer what you do prefer. And if it's made clear what you do prefer by contrast from what you don't prefer, then turn around and go and do what you prefer. Don't keep hanging on to what you don't prefer, thinking that you have to remain engaged with it. You have learned the lesson. Walk away.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Remember that by being your true self, it's the most loving thing you can do for someone else, because then they understand who they're actually in a relationship with. And if they actually wish to continue to be in a relationship with you, then that gives them the option to change to be more compatible with you, so that you don't have to change to become more compatible with something you don't prefer.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was sitting here in the audience last night. I got a memory and thought about since 1990, around 1998.
Yes.
And it had to do with when I participated with you, when you did an event in Thousand Oaks, when you had the money abundance seminar for us.
Yes.
Okay? And you had everybody bring a coin.
Yes.
All right. And then my participation was I made up flyers and I called everybody to get them there.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And then the next day, this man called me.
Yes.
And he said that, well, I had the monatomic stones and everything at the time.
Yes.
All right. And I'd made jewelry out of it and the whole
Yes,
thing.
yes.
All right. So he called me and said that he was sort of told that he needed to come and buy some of my stones.
Yes.
So he came over to my house and he picked out a lot of stuff, and he said, but he wanted so much more. And he said, I just have $300 with me
Yes.
in cash, and I want to go home and get more and
Yes.
bring back.
Yes.
Oh, I'm shaking again.
And so?
And so he lived about an hour away. Anyway, he came back,
Yes.
and then he bought $1,200 worth of stuff.
All right.
And at the end of the conversation, he said his name was Sananda.
Yes.
And he said at the end of the conversation, he said, I'm an ET. And I said, okay. And I said, we should, let's talk about that. And he said, he was leaving and we would talk about it another time.
Yes.
Okay. So what was he an ET? I mean, what was that about?
Not in the way he meant it, no. Not in the way you thought he meant it, no. He has a realization of his connections to extraterrestrial energies and was expressing some of that to you.
Okay, I had felt that because we had that money about abundance and everything, and I had done the work, I felt that was sort of, at the time, like you had sent him almost for my abundancy.
I didn't send him. You attracted that so you could have a representation and a reflection that at that moment you were working in a state of being that was more conducive and more aligned with your true self and your connections to extraterrestrial sources as well.
Okay, so now why would that pop into my mind when I was sitting here last night?
Gosh, I don't know. Maybe because you're in the presence of an extraterrestrial?
Well, yeah. But I would just thought maybe there'd be more of a connection than he thought, his own connections as to what that was for me, other than, so it was the abundance part.
Yes.
Okay.
And also the alignment part and the ability, when you are aligned that way, to experience and attract more things that will reflect that and remind you of that, so that you use them as markers to know that you're in the proper state at that moment when that happens.
Okay. And I also felt that I got information for you about a download, that you would be downloading me with some information.
And we have from time to time done that.
Okay, that was last night. I got a telepathic communication with you. Okay. And I thought maybe that was about the grays, the gray.
Some of it was connected to that, but it goes beyond that.
Okay, so.
But we're certainly not going to talk about it in public.
No, I know we can't talk about it in public.
All right.
But that was the message to me, that you would download me with some information
Yes,
about
we
it.
did.
Okay, very good. The other thing I wanted to, about the higher self.
Yes.
I've been talking to my higher self for 30 years.
Yes,
His name is Armandi.
if you say so.
Well, yeah, and so I see Armandi. He's male, and I.
Please understand, the higher self is non-physical.
Yeah,
it isn't
I know
one
that.
thing or another, but it will represent itself with a vibration that works for you symbolically. So what you're describing is the representation that the higher mind is giving you to work with. It doesn't mean the higher mind itself is male.
Okay. He just represents himself as male.
Yes, because it's what you will work with more easily.
Okay, they are. It's non-physical. Okay.
Yes.
But are they autonomous unto himself, a higher
Yes.
self? Okay, that's what I was wondering. They're actually
Every
a separate.
form and expression of consciousness is autonomous unto itself.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nania.
Hi, Tadeo. I got some questions for you.
From the streamers.
Yes.
All right.
That sounds like a party, streamers.
Yes.
When you're referring to multiple timelines
Yes.
and the idea that does one of these timelines lead to the idea of ascension and others not?
Correct.
Okay. And what happens to our children if we choose a timeline for ascension? Do we stop seeing them in the new reality where there is peace and no war?
Well, if you're suggesting that the children are not on the same wavelength, then yes, you ultimately won't experience them anymore. But if they're on the same wavelength, they will be experienced by you.
So what advice do you have for people who feel very uncomfortable with that idea?
Uncomfortable with what idea?
The idea that their loved ones would disappear because they're choosing a path that's very different.
If they truly are loved ones, then you will let them walk whatever path they choose. Because love needs to be unconditional, or it's not really love.
That sounds
Because again, remember, you're all eternal, infinite beings. And even if you're taking different paths temporarily, you will meet again.
it's strange. It sounds like tough love.
Well, then that's tough. We're making a joke. But the idea is it's true love when you allow someone to be who they need to be. Even if you understand that they may be making choices, you have taught them the best you can, they simply won't accept that teaching that could make it easier for them. Again, what they choose to do with what you share is none of your business because they are an individual. They have their own path, and you've done your best to give them the option to choose something more joyful. But if they haven't chosen it, then you have to see that that's your first clue that they may need to take a different path first before they come around to that realization in their own good timing. That's true love, because you come from a position of seeing them as strong and powerful enough to eventually get the realization. Otherwise, you're seeing them as weak. Oh no, poor them. They're at a loss. I'm losing them. They're lost. Don't see them that way. See them as a powerful being taking a journey that may not be the journey that you prefer, but it may be the journey they need to wake them up. So you have to see it as an act of love, true love, to let them be who they are after you've done everything you can to give them the option to make other choices.
You know, one thing I notice is that you always look at other people and other beings as being empowered.
Of course, because you are. Remember, even when you feel that you're not empowered, you're using your power to create that. That's the paradox. When you feel out of control, you're controlling that. When you feel you lack trust, you're trusting that you lack trust. When you don't feel confident, you're confident that you lack confidence. You cannot be not confident. You cannot be not trusting. You cannot be out of control. You cannot be disempowered. If that was true, you would have no experience at all. It's simply that you're using your power, you're using your trust, you're using your confidence, and you're using your control to create things you don't prefer instead of the things you do.
And so in our society, I think often we're trained to see people as being disempowered.
Yes.
And so that's one of the first changes that you can make in how you perceive others.
Yes.
In order to
Everyone is completely empowered, but sometimes they use their power to forget that they're empowered.
And of course, that doesn't mean not extending assistance. It just
Of course
simply
not.
means
But you can
perceiving
only
them
extend
different.
that assistance so far. You can only give them the understanding that it is an option and an opportunity to realize the paradox, and that they are empowered and simply using their power to create a feeling of being disempowered. But if they don't understand that and don't have the wherewithal, the tools, or the notion, or the desire to understand or accept that, then what they do is none of your business. You've done all you can. That's it. Move on.
So that helps navigate
Yes.
physical reality
And again,
and our relationships.
You'll meet them again someday, and you'll all have a good laugh about it.
But I think it also has such a personal impact when you consistently see other people as being empowered.
Yes.
It also
It empowers.
amplifies your own energy.
Yes. And therefore, by amplifying your own energy, you may rise to a level where you have more wherewithal to share with them in a way that might actually tip the scale for them.
And that's really true, because as your frequency goes up, then you perceive much more precisely
Yes.
exactly what another person needs in order to move to the next step.
Exactly. But still, you may come across people who have a particular path, and they may need to go down a very different path at first. And you have to get to a point where you can discern that too. And be okay with that, because you're still seeing them as empowered.
So ultimately, it's a big journey of discernment.
Yes.
Learning how to discern better,
Yes.
better, and better,
Yes.
and better. Yes.
And make the choices that are in alignment with the things you now are capable of discerning.
Right.
That are really, really true in your heart of hearts for the kind of reality you really prefer, regardless of the appearances going on around you.
Fascinating.
Yes, it is. Anything else?
So this question is, after I leave this life or reality, what happens to my animals? Are they just a dream and they leave also?
Not necessarily. Some of them might, but they don't have to. They're their own autonomous beings. They may have other things to do on their journey. But some of them will join you.
But they continue, because a lot of times you'll have an encounter.
Remember this as well.
Yes.
Again, this is the thing that many of you keep forgetting. You're already there. So are the animals. Already there. So when you wake up in spirit out of the physical dream, the portion of the animal spirit that is already there will be there with you anyway. So it won't matter what the portion that is still in physical reality, in a sense, is doing. You won't miss them. They're there with you already.
Very good. Now, last night you said something about you sensed the leading edge of something coming.
Yes.
And was that felt and expressed towards any of the questions that came from the streaming group, or can you identify?
It was.
Do you want to share anything about that?
I do not.
Ooh, mysterious.
It will remain a mystery, and that's part of the purpose. But we are feeling a leading edge.
Ooh.
It's coming closer and closer and closer. Look out. Stay in the eye. Stay in the eye. Stay in the eye.
I will. Okay, so I think we're probably getting... So here's the last thing.
Yes.
Can you tell us about a specific 2020 event we may want to pay attention to?
We are conferring. One moment. This requires more input than usual. One moment. We are gathering consensus from different sources. One moment. There is a high degree of probability of a very noticeable, pivotal event that may crop up in the area you call the Eastern European bloc that will change many things. This may occur as late as the time you call September. It may occur earlier than that, but it may occur as late as the fall of 2020 and be a pivotal moment in your social understanding, your political understanding, and the revelation of circumstances heretofore hidden. This is all we are allowed to say. So look to the Eastern Bloc in Europe and watch for the signs and act accordingly from the eye of the storm. For it may amplify greatly the thunder and the lightning and the rage of the storm. But you can come out of it. You can come out of it by remaining at peace and calm in the eye. That is all. Please take a short break. We will resume this transmission with the crystallization meditation for the eye of the storm. All right, I'll say, let us continue this transmission by asking each and every one of you to allow yourselves to become very relaxed in your seats. Take a deep breath in and let it out. One more time, a deep breath in and let it out. And a third time, a deep breath in and hold it. Hold it and blow it out. Continue to breathe gently, deeply. Let go of the cares of the day. Just relax. You are here and now exactly where you need to be. Allow your music and lights to begin to play as you allow yourself to open to the holotope before you. Focus your eyes on the center of the image. For this is the eye of the storm. Use it as a symbol. As you continue to breathe, use it, ingrain it, absorb it, allow it into your mind and into your heart as a symbol, the center, with everything swirling around it as the holotope depicts. Ring upon ring upon ring of different events, different circumstances, different situations that may crop up in the storm that surrounds you, swirling around you, a maelstrom of thunder and lightning, but also containing the elements of peace and beauty and power, so that from within the center, as the storm swirls around you, you may be in a place of stability and peace and calm and certainty and confidence, so that you may extract from what is swirling around you that which truly represents the reality that you prefer, in energy, in tone, in speech, in action. all of the things that you choose to do from this place in the here and the now at the center of the storm will come from the true you if you allow it. Relax into it. Absorb its power, the power of peace, the power of solitude, the power of knowing who you truly are. And as you imagine yourself at any time, anywhere, any place, no matter what may happen in the year and years to come, remember this moment. Call yourself back to this moment so that you are standing in the eye, the peaceful, beautiful, brilliant, bright eye of the storm, which is the eye of all that is. For it sees all that surrounds and all that manifests and all that it is in reflections of infinite proportions, infinite perspectives, infinite beauty, infinite meaning, infinite being. Imagine yourselves now as you focus on the center that you are seeing in your mind's eye, that you are in the eye of a storm that surrounds you. The clouds rise up to the heights. You see within it the flashes of lightning, of different occurrences, and the peals of thunder that reach your ears, that remind you that there are things going on around you all the time. But you also see the cloud tops and the sunlight reflecting upon them, and you take that into your heart. And the air in the eye is fresh and clean and invigorating and crisp. And take a deep, deep breath of it right now and reassure yourself that you are where you need to be. You know in your heart, you know in your discernment, and you know in your choices what is truly aligned with this moment, with this place of peace. And you know the difference between this and the chaos that surrounds you. Choose. Choose to be here with us in this now moment. All of your brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers, with your family in physical and non-physical reality, in the here and the now. Choose to stay with us here. Choose to remain in our loving embrace. Choose to be who you truly are, so that you may receive and experience the unconditional love that you are always being given, but which, through fear-based beliefs, you may not always perceive. Open up to being willing to allow it into your heart and into your life in this place of perfect peace amid the chaos that swirls around you. Observe it from a neutral position. Understand it with compassion. And choose to be who you truly are in your heart of hearts. You know the difference. You can see the difference between what you prefer and what you do not. You know how to tell the difference. Relax into this moment. Relax into the eye of the storm. Relax into the peace and certainty. Do not give over to anger. Do not give over to justification. Do not pay attention to the fear-based beliefs when they tell you the lies about yourself, that you are not worthy, not deserving, not powerful, not trusting, not confident. For you are always all these things and more. No matter what you may feel at any given moment, it is always the result of what you choose to believe is true. So rather than marshal a defense, simply be decisive, be discerning, be aware, open your eyes and see what is true. Do not pay attention to the words, but the actions of those you encounter, for that is the truth that they speak. Watch what they do as we watch you, and see whether or not you are choosing to be in this space and in this reality where we may someday meet and play and expand the cosmic family to which we all belong. Allow the vibration that you hear and the vibrations that you see to penetrate deep within your soul and ignite the light within you so that you may light the path that will stretch before you once you emerge from the eye of the storm. For the storm shall calm, the storm shall dissipate eventually, and you will be left on the path that you chose while in the eye. And that will be the path that you shall walk. So whatever you choose, own it now. Decide now what is the true path for you. For on some of those paths you will find us, and on some you will not. And on some of those paths you will find yourself, and on some you will not. Choose wisely from your heart, from what you know to be true in the depths of your soul, in the depths of your being, and walk the path you chose with responsibility and peace and power. And you will learn the lessons thereupon that are designed just for you. And you will grow and you will see with different eyes in time. One way or the other, you will find your way home. But it is up to you. Through what forests and deserts and snow-capped peaks you may journey before you arrive home. Allow your path to be the path of least resistance, the path that is truly reflective of who you know yourself to be. Let go and surrender. Surrender the opinions of the mind that come from negative and fear-based beliefs. That is not your rudder. That is not your compass. Your passion is your compass. It points to your magnetic north. Walk the path that is true for you. Walk within your true self. And as you now stand here in the eye of the storm, with the clouds swirling all around you, take once again a deep breath of that crystal clear air that invigorates and energizes and enlightens you. And let it out. And as you let it out, let go of the things that do not need to be in your heart, that do not need to be in your mind, that do not need to be in your reality, that do not need to be in your life. But invite in only the things you truly need, for the things you need will fulfill you and allow you to walk the path with eyes wide open and experience the journey of beauty and joy and creativity and love and peace and power and knowingness. Open up to the symbols of synchronicity as they may join you in the eye of the storm, so that you may choose wisely and discern wisely from those symbols that represent who you truly are and see through the illusions that do not serve you. Open your eyes and let go of anything you have been holding onto that you thought was important that you now know is not. Relationship, the ones that reflect to you that which truly allow you to grow and become more of who you are the ones that are going to be vibrationally compatible with the reality in which we can together one day play. Let them be without imposition, without assumption, without framing them in what your mind and beliefs thinks they should be, but let them be what they are as they come to you. Let the relationships and the symbols of synchronicity show you why they are there. Do not impose upon them your assumption or your insistence. Let them be what they are, for they are automatically designed to serve you, automatically designed to uplift you, automatically designed to support you. Here in the eye of the storm. Do not leave. Do not leave that vibration. Do not walk away from yourself, but invite yourself back in, your true self. In dreams and in life, the physical dream, invite yourself to live the dream that is true for you, regardless of anyone else's perspective or opinion, for they do not live your life, you do. Be true to your own path. Be true to yourself and know yourself. Know yourself. Know yourself. Breathe in again the crisp, clear, crystalline air of the eye of the storm, and feel it fill you up, every cell, every atom. And feel that spark of divine light burst forth within you. All things aligning, soothing, nurturing, supporting. Relax into yourself. Be calm. Be calm. Think things through. Be calm. Respond accordingly. Be calm. Feel your power and feel that there is no need to rush. You are an eternal and indestructible being. There is nowhere more important you need to be than here and now. The present is all there is. Be present with yourself every moment that you can. Continue to breathe. Continue to relax. Let the vibrations dim, the music soften, the lights diminish, but remain in the eye of the storm, sensing the peace, sensing the calmness, and sensing the power within that. The power of peace. The power of your true selves. Continue to breathe it in and let yourself feel the arms of your cosmic family wrapped around you in unconditional love. We thank you for being a part of our family, and we welcome you into our home as you have welcomed us into yours. Be with us. journey with us, and the world shall open before you in ways you haven't imagined. We are always here for you, but we leave it to you to decide what path you shall take from here. We will have more to say in the year to come. Use your 2020 vision forward and your 2020 hindsight to bring them into the present, to learn the lessons you have learned, and to apply them forward to the reality you prefer. Continue to breathe and be at peace, and receive our unconditional love, as always. Welcome home, welcome home, welcome home.
All you will ever discover in the deepest, darkest,